Welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people with relatable content, and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry.
And I'm Lily.
And before we go any further, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on that bell notification. That way, when we are doing our thing, YouTube lets you know. Today, we're continuing Lily's top 50 board games of all time. And in particular, we're covering which games, Lily?
Games number 30 to 21.
All right,
Making
so let's get straight to it then.
Making progress. And number 30, an Euro-style game that has an interesting name, America. America. I really like America because it has a board, and it's essentially the United States. And you also kind of have to guess and play along with other players, up to 6 players. So I guess it could be considered a party game, depending.
Sure.
I haven't really won, but I've had lots of fun playing it. You have 3 categories that you can try to guess, right?
For the trivia questions. This is a trivia game.
So, yeah, so it could be anything, really. Right, it could be anything. So for the trivia questions, you have to guess into the states, a number, and also a year. So it could be like which state, was burgers most eaten in ever or whatever. I don't know, it's just weird stuff like that. And you're like, Kentucky or not, or maybe somewhere else. Either way, you learn like different stuff that you probably never knew or needed, like hula hoops when it was made. Who cares?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But it's a really fun game. It's very lighthearted. It brings lots and lots of laughter to the table. It's a great way to end the night after you've had like a lot of heavy games, let's say. And it plays pretty quick. I find that it doesn't take too long.
Oh yeah, no, it's very quick. I mean, there's only like 6 questions or something like that. So
yeah, and you can always cut it down if you like. You could just be like, let's do a round of 3 questions just for the fun of it.
Sure. Or you could prolong it even
or
if you wanted to.
Prolong it if you're having lots of fun. It does say here 45 minutes, but I don't think it's really the case. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no, I think it wouldn't be the case.
So just a great game to own, a new one that I've learned this year, America.
Yes, America. All right, and this is new to your list like you mentioned, so let's see what's the next game.
Number 30. I can't believe that's number 30. I thought it was... All right, so number 29 is Azul.
Azul, all right.
Azul, did I learn? Azul was a new game this year, right, as well?
Yes, new to you. Yep.
So, apparently there's a bunch of other Azuls out there. Some of them we have not tried as of yet. So, but I kept on seeing them being posted by other gamers that we follow on Instagram. And and then Harry would keep it somewhere where I could see it. And then he hyped it up a lot at the beginning of the year. And finally we got to it. So essentially it's a dice game without numbers, really? Or maybe they do have numbers.
Well, it's not really
like
dice.
Color.
It's like prettied up tiles.
Prettied up tiles that have very beautiful colors, and you have to arrange in order. And that is how it plays. Very much looking forward to seeing the other editions of it. But it's very light, also very nice looking, zen-like for anybody that knows me. They put a lot of work into their design, including the baggie. So I apologize, not dice, but little interesting tiles.
Yeah.
And you score according to how many tiles and of which colors and so on that you can accommodate in each little round. Another game that I don't think I've won very often, but have had a lot of fun playing. So Azul.
Yeah, beautiful game, and there's lots. Even though it's a light game, like you said, there's some good strategy there. Absolutely.
I do find it. I think we have to revisit it. Maybe it'll be even higher by next year.
All right. Number 29, Azul. What's the next one?
All right. Number 28. Number 28, Alhambra. Would this be considered a Euro game?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
definitely, right?
Yeah.
Very cool game. I really liked it from the get-go. Essentially, you have these flat tiles, and you're trying to build your palace or your garden or your courtyard. I don't know exactly what to call it. They're all color coordinated, but there's also every round the worth of each color changes depending on the dummy player that you're playing with or the real player. So I think it's like a 3-player game, so we always play with a dummy player.
Yes.
Right. So You also have to draft tiles. You can either place them immediately or put them in your reserve for a later time. You also score based on the borders, so not all the tiles are made the same. Some of them are facing one way or have like a tunnel, whatever the case. But anyway, so you're trying to have the majority on each number of tiles according to whatever color happens to be scored the highest on that round, which may change on you because if such and such draws more of those tiles, then they'll have the majority and not so much you. But it's a really, really cool game. You get to buy also, there's a purchasing process as well. So there's just a lot of different areas that I really enjoy about it. So overall, Alhambra, do not let yourself be deceived by the boring yellow color. As I often say, it was the game of the year in 2003. So I guess it's been around for a while.
Yeah, yeah. And as a matter of fact, it was on your list a year ago and it was number 14. So it has dipped down a bit,
Is it
but
really?
again, you've played lots of games, so it's not too surprising for it to go
I
down
have a lot
about
of
10 spots or so.
nostalgia. Yeah, there's not a lot of like Spanish themed games out there, as I was saying in my previous video. So Alhambra will always be in my top something. That's for sure.
Top something, absolutely. All right. So, what is your number 27?
27 is actually Sushi Roll. Ooh la la! It is the dice version of Sushi Go.
Yeah.
Right? Sushi Go. So for all of you who don't know Sushi Go, please go buy it. I think at this point you can buy it just about anywhere. You don't have to be Japanese in order to play it. You don't have to eat sushi in order to play it. It's a pretty cool game. So Sushi Roll embodies all of the cool elements of Sushi Go in a dice version. So it's much more versatile, and it's actually, I think it's much more portable than what this box lets you think it is, because it doesn't play that big. Like,
sure.
For Sushi Go, you have a lot of cards involved. This one, you have like each individual has like one little box that represents everything you could possibly roll, and you have a drafting mechanism where you move the dice back and forth between the two players. We never played them with more than two players.
No, we have not.
Right, so you move the back the middle part back and forth once you roll the die, and then each person picks one until there is no dice left. Then you place them, and that is how you score.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool because, as you know, in Sushi Go, you have different ways of scoring. You can have 3 sashimis and whatever else. So this one gives you different ways, some of the same things, and also new ones too. So I found that very, very good, and also gives you like pudding at the end. I think the other one gave you tea.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
it gives you like pudding. So like if you collect the most pudding by the third round, then you have an extra 6 points or whatever it is.
An extra 6 points. Yeah.
Yeah, 6 points.
Yeah.
So really cool. I find it goofy, right? The Sushi Roll, little cartoonish. Might appeal to like a 6-year-old.
Sure. It's definitely very caricature-like artwork. I actually prefer this over Sushi Go. I find that the choices, the decisions you're making are a little bit more interesting, I find. I usually don't prefer a dice game over card games, but this is an exception to that rule for me.
The thing is that Sushi Go is definitely a party game. You really need, like, the most people, the best it would be. Because you have to pass them around the bigger group. So, like, to play it just Harry and I, that's not really lots of fun. Because, like... I mean, I guess you'll just...
It's a different type of game that way.
Yeah, you'll reduce the amount of cards that you play with, so there's not like a lot of opportunities for you to score tons of everything on every round. So I feel like for a smaller group, this definitely plays better. I think that's really why we prefer it and why it scored so high.
Well, I don't know if you prefer it. I know I prefer it, but I'm not going to spoil anything.
Well, I guess not. I guess not, now that I think about it.
So, what's your number 26?
Spoiler alert. My number 26, what would it be? Once upon a time, some 14, 15 years ago, I happened to go to Cuzco.
All right.
So whenever I find a game of any place that I have ever visited and or dreamt of visiting, you have a pretty good chance of me liking that game. So Cuzco is the sequel to Tikal,
Yes.
right? Isn't the sequel? So pretty good game, amazing game. I have actually another review of it by itself, right? On like the board's monthly games.
Oh yes, yes, on Lily's top board games of the month video.
That's right.
Check them out.
Check them out. So this particular game, it is, if you know anything about Tikal, you know how it's about building temples and advancing through the jungles and collecting like, well, I guess building the highest
Different treasures and
different
also
treasures.
excavating the
excavating
temples,
the temples
so you
and
could make them rise higher, yeah.
right? So this actually rises them higher because it's in 3D. The other one just had like little tiles that you just put on one on top of each other, so it's not very
Well, in the defense of Tikal,
They
the
were
modern
first.
editions of Tikal, also I believe by Super Meeple, this publisher, also do have three-dimensional temples. So it's really a product of its time. The Tikal edition that we play is the older edition
older
from the
one?
early 2000s. So
maybe that's why this game wowed me, because I was like, this is pretty amazing. Essentially, you have like the actual little pieces and you're collecting the actual temples.
It's
that are going
beautiful.
up.
three-dimensional.
Not only that, but it actually adds a three-dimensional portion to the terrain as well.
Yes.
Right? So like Tikal is just a flat thing, and this one, you not only score by having the highest temple, but you also score by having the temple on the highest ground with the highest theme. Anyway, lots of different ways, so it's way more intricate. I find that the three-sided pieces, you can accommodate them either way. It's like a beehive. I think it's like they're hexagonal pieces.
Well, there's three. There's they are hexagonal,
But like
but
sets
there's
of three.
singular pieces. There's double hexagon
Mhm.
pieces, and there's triple hexagon pieces. So there's three different types of pieces.
But
tiles.
because you have the three-dimensional aspect to this game, those pieces become way more important, because after a while there is not so many things you can do with the ones you have left, and there's limited options of each different types available throughout the game. So you definitely have a lot of conserving, right? Because you don't want to use them all up early on, because then it might be useful later on to kind of like get you at a higher level than your enemy or your opponent, right? So
Enemy, ooh, Freudian slip.
sorry, they're not enemies.
I
Spaniards were their enemies.
thought we were friends.
Cusco. I don't
Alright.
quite remember this being there. If I remember correctly, this temple was never in the
Yeah.
picture of Cusco, but it's a really cool play on words. Very beautiful, beautiful, unique game. Highly recommend it. Check it out. It's very easy to learn.
Yeah, well, Cusco's actually new to your list this year. I forgot to mention, Sushi Roll was actually number 11 on your list last year. Really, really high. So it's dropped a bit, but again, you've played tons of games in the last year, so it's not really surprising for a game like Sushi Roll to go down a few spots.
If only I had all the time in the world to play all the games that I want, and like all the energy to do so too.
I would be a happy man.
Yes, you would be.
All right, so let's
All
move on to
right.
your number 25.
Number 25 would be Pandemic.
All right.
Pandemic, the original version. How very interesting that this name is Pandemic. Anyway, as you know, 2020. Pandemic. All right, so Pandemic is the original. I know that we reviewed Pandemic the Cure last time. I always go back to the original again. They have the maps. You can pick a different character every time, so the game does not always play the same way, and you get to go to places like Dakar. Is that the place?
Dakar, maybe.
Anyway, just stuff that I've never heard of all over the place.
Sure, yeah. You definitely brush up on your geography.
You really do, and you're like, where was that again? Because it actually doesn't put down the countries; it just puts down the cities.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, and you just kind of have to like, well, it's in Asia, we think.
I mean, if you look at the actual cards,
They
though,
might
the
say
cards
what it is.
specify the nation actually.
But
on the
board,
yeah, on the
does
board it
not.
doesn't. Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool game. I find that I myself am living through a pandemic whenever I play it, so we have been prepared for a while. My number 25.
Yeah, and it's a cooperative game, right?
That's right. Is how Harry gets me to play along with him.
Yes. We get to work on our team building skills, right? And
Yeah,
learn how to communicate and get along and sacrifice and compromise, all for a common cause, right?
I'm definitely the one sacrificing half of the time. It's like I'm always going to the places with high, virus load, and
I mean, that's probably because your character, your role,
so
indicates that you should go to those places.
I'm always like in danger in this game. But I do like the CDC. It's always been a dream of mine to work at the CDC.
Interesting.
Probably never gonna happen, but you never know. Maybe the Department of Health.
All right, number 25. And this was on your list last year. It actually was number 32. So I'm very surprised because
it went up.
I'm not sure if you and I played this game this year once or twice, was definitely as much as we did. So I don't know if Pandemic the Cure kind of brought this back to the forefront of your mind, or maybe the fact that 2020 has brought it back to the forefront of your mind, because I don't see any reason why this game, factoring in that you played many new games this year, why would climb up from 32 to 25. 7 spots. It's not amazing, but again, with new games coming in, lots of these old-time favorites going down on your list, and this one going up. Curious.
I just find it soothing that we're actually beating this virus. Somehow, I'm in the medical field, as some of you may know, and it's like very frustrating, this COVID-19 situation. So I'm finding it very soothing that we're beating it, that we're curing it.
Your memories of beating it, because again, this game is in the rear view mirror. Like, your memories of beating this game make you feel very satisfied. Okay.
I liked playing it.
Okay, I like it too. Hey, I'm not hating. It's a great game. Excellent game.
It was a great game to play in the middle of the pandemic.
All right, so let's go to your number 24. What's number 24?
Ooh, my number 24. This is like, Harry's probably gonna kill me that I rated it this low. Cosmic Encounter. Spoiler alerts. This is way higher on Harry's list than me.
Never heard of this game in my life.
Oh, please. He essentially makes me play it every Sunday whenever we get together with our nieces and nephews.
Every Sunday? What? That's an exaggeration.
Either I play or Robot Lily plays, but one of us shows up and plays.
Well, for those who don't know, Robot Lily is this thing that my nephews, my niece, and I do when we want to play a game with Lily that might need a 5th, 6th player, but she's not available. We just basically deal out her cards and make most of the decisions for her, and every once in a while consult real Lily in order to see if she has any feedback for what Robot Lily might want to do.
I hated this game once upon a time. This game was like just a bane in my existence, right?
What?
However, it's grown on me.
Interesting.
Like the leech on top of this black person. This is actually called the leech.
Yes, it is called the leech.
I'm pretty sure I was this leech at some point.
It's the parasite.
The parasite, sorry. The parasite. It's grown on me like that. How? I don't know. But we've had some of the most interesting conversations, backstabbing sessions, and like just crazy comebacks in this game. So just the experience, essentially, it's like if I went into the Star Enterprise and like just to like kill some Klingons or something. Real horrible analogy, but I really feel like immersed.
Sure.
Immersed in the game.
Everybody gets into it when we play.
Everybody gets into it. I think the more the better. So we always usually play like a 6-player. No,
we
5.
Usually play 5. We've played 6 a few times. I think 6 is at its best, actually.
Yeah, no, definitely the 6th one is definitely the best. There is, oh my goodness, there's all sorts of craziness that happens in this game. People tagging along with each other. People, like, you have to negotiate.
Yes,
but you can sometimes, like, say you're negotiating, but, like, not negotiate. So,
and Lily's the only player that I've ever played with, and I played this game with, like, at least 10 different people. The only player I've ever played with, not only to betray someone on the very first round, but to betray someone on the very first turn. And she's done it twice.
So like the same person,
and I
right?
believe I might have been one, if not both, of the victims.
I mean,
for that,
why do you fall
it's incredible.
For it? So they think that like I have the best. No, I want to win. So the best intentions.
Sure.
Now, anyway, this actually deals out with cards, and every card, you have the cards that are like points, and you like kind of like battling back and forth with the person. Destiny tells you which colony you're going to feud against. But you also have like a personality card or a character
An
card.
alien race, yep.
Alien race that gives you certain powers. So either sometimes it's powers that help the people that help you, like powers in the offense, powers in the defense. Anyway, it's really intricate.
Yeah.
Harry here gets like expansion after expansion. I feel like I don't know what expansion we're on right now, but we have like artifacts now. We have like, what else is the other card?
Yeah, there's just tons of cards for this game.
Like all sorts of stuff all over the place. So anyway, you think you're doing like an amazing roll, and like somebody else will like throw another card that like annihilates what you just did.
Yeah, cancels it out, nullifies it.
out, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just lost all these ships. So the warp has become my best friend, since that's where I end up. If you know anything about this game, that means that you suck. So, Cosmic Encounters. Wow, I can't believe it's this high.
Yeah.
But it is, guys.
Yeah, well, actually, this game, believe it or not, last year was your number 24. So it only went down one. No, it's exactly the same. Oh my goodness. That is crazy. This is amazing. Guys, write this down. This moment in history. Lily's number 24 last year, number 24 this year. It's proven the test of time. All right, so what's your number 23?
23 is Tokaido. Woo! So apparently this is a video where I review my most famous Japanese style games. So I love Tokaido. Really, really love it. It's a new game, right? Or did I play this last year?
You played it.
Did I play it?
No, this is new. You played it earlier on in the year.
I was gonna say, because I remember you teaching it to somebody else, and I'm like, I want to learn that game. That game looks fun. First of all, what I love about it, not only is the mechanism, but it's the art. The artwork is just so neat. Whoever came up with this was very talented, as you can see. So there is a very nice board. Essentially, it's a one-way board, and you move your piece. You all start together, let's say, but you have like turns, not turns, but like rest areas, like 3 of them in the whole board, and so everybody has to wait for each other at those little rest areas, let's just call them. So in between, you can choose to move them whatever you want, but however, the person who is in the last or who will always be in the last gets to continue moving until they're no longer in the last. And then when all of the players get into those little rest areas, that's when you start the next little turn, I guess you could say. So, am I explaining it correctly, would you say?
Oh, yeah, you did a pretty good job.
So, I don't know what they're called, but anyway, well, let's just call them rest areas. So,
the official term is the inns.
The inns, and then over there you have money, then you could like buy
a
things
meal.
And like gather points. But in every little chunk of the game, you have the same places. You have like temples, you have shops. Sure. You can build like a panorama, that's what they call it, like a big picture with cards. You can like, gather points. So there's a lot of different things you could do.
Sure, yeah.
But you can't go to the same place where somebody else is currently at. So there is no space sharing.
You can't, you're right. And you can never go backwards. You could go as far as you want.
One way.
From one inn to another. But you can never go back, so sometimes you might really want to jump further ahead to snatch up a spot that's very coveted.
Then that's the only thing you'll do.
Know that you will never be able to re-go back and get some of the other things along the way. And other people might pick up the scraps. If they fall behind, they might get to go to several spots in a row and pick up lots of stuff. So.
Yeah, because whoever's the last player will continue going until they're no longer the last player. So, I mean, interesting. It's just I have never seen this type of mechanism prior, so I find it to be really cool. But it's very Zen-like, because you don't really have to think a lot.
It's very light.
Very light.
The mechanisms are very, streamlined and simple to teach, very easy to learn. But there is some method to the madness, right, as far as the decisions you make. And I do think that to some extent, you do have to make the better decisions in order to win, right? It's not just randomness or flipping of a coin.
You definitely have to choose what you're going to invest on. Whether you're going to go pay money to the temple, whether you're going to like buy different things. Like, what is it that you're going to invest on and try to like hit it every time.
Sure, yeah.
So Tokaido, my number 23.
All right. And again, new to your list this year. So what's your number 22?
My number 22 is a game that I didn't think I was going to like, yet I loved. It was Merkator. Merkator just looks really boring and Renaissance.
I gotta give you that.
Like,
yeah.
I just don't like how it looks, but man, does it play really good. Essentially, it's a trading game where you're trying to help me out here, babe.
I mean, it's really pick up and deliver. You're going to the different locations, picking up the resources that are there, and then delivering them to a different location within the same map.
But you also have like different cards that let you either
the
contract
fulfillment.
The contract fulfillments, which get you points.
Yes,
that's really how you win the game. And also other cards that you could draw that let you gather resources. And then you have like a market as well, where you're trying to like get whatever resources from the general market to like your own personal market. And at the end of the game, if you whatever spaces are missing in their market, you'll deduct, right?
No, but you could get bonus points depending on some of the buildings you get. You get building cards that score you bonus points for you doing a bunch of different things depending on what direction you take with your strategy.
We definitely have to play it again. I feel like it's a little foggy right now. It is.
It's been a while.
It's definitely been a while, and it took me a while to get it. But once I got it, I just felt like we played it back to back to back.
Oh, yeah. And I will say this, they say don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge this book by its cover or even by its insides, because the presentation is definitely subpar, but the gameplay is sweet.
I'm just gonna, like, really quick. So just because it looks boring, look, it has like little things where you're supposed to keep your cubes of the different colors. And Harry here has arranged it. So he has put down all the cubes. Look how colorful they are. So all of this is found inside that boring box that I just showed you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the maps and however it trades is really like not the greatest. Like you're looking at it right now.
Yeah. Very abstracted map of Renaissance Europe and the New World. And
the countries are represented by boxes.
Yeah, it's functional, but it's definitely not immersive of an experience.
It's not Cosmic Encounter, yet it made it higher than Cosmic Encounter. Look at that. No, I really had a good time. I find that it plays really well with 2 players. And it's definitely a game that I would like to immerse myself more in. But it does require you to have about like an hour and a half.
Maybe not an hour and a half, but probably a good solid hour or so.
An hour and a half.
Yeah.
Between like you laying it out and like picking it up.
Sure.
So,
it's a fun game, and it definitely exceeded both our expectations, I would say. Number 22, and finally the last one for today's list, Lily's number 21, and that is...
I am gonna get a hernia. Oh my gosh, Harry.
You got it?
Dominion!
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Oh no, I was talking to the box.
Oh.
You okay?
Okay, Dominion. Wow, was Dominion like the first what is it called? What is it?
Deck builder?
Deck building game there was?
It was. It's the granddaddy of the deck building genre.
Right? And we got like hooked. We got so hooked into Dominion that essentially we had like Dominion marathons, Dominion leagues, Dominion.
Oh yeah.
You name it. So this box is so heavy because Harry has successfully consolidated all Dominion expansions and labeled them.
Well, I got tons of other expansions in other boxes. This is just one of them, so yeah.
Crazy, right?
It's good for a workout.
So anyway, we literally had like, I don't know which year it was, but we played Dominion like every week for like 2-3 players, and like we played each other depending on what each player ranked, and it's like a whole, what was it, like a league?
Yeah, we called it a society.
We called it a society.
But it's definitely league-like with organized games and scheduled games and things like that, and rankings and all that stuff.
So I really like Dominion. It definitely grew on me. I don't know what the Seaside in particular was. Not sure if we ever played that.
I don't think you've played the Seaside too much.
That's the box we have.
Yeah.
But I look forward to continue playing it. It's definitely a game that we plays better with multiple people. So we play with the nephews and a niece. Up to 4 players?
Up to 4 players, unless you get an expansion with additional starting cards. But I wouldn't recommend it because one of the sweet things about Dominion is how quick and smooth the gameplay is. I think at 4 players, it's still capable of being that. But I think once you play 5 or 6, it'll take away from the beauty of it.
Not so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, go get those gold coins.
Yes, yes. And this was your number 12 last time. Really, really high. Just barely outside of the top 10. But I will grant you this. While we have played lots of Dominion over the years, you haven't really played too much Dominion this year. I'm not sure how many times you've played, but I'm pretty sure you've played less than 5 times, while me, the nephews, and the niece continue to play this game dozens of times in the course of a year.
Robert Lilly definitely played it, but Robot Lily didn't make their top 50. So
it's not the kind of game you could play with Robot Lily.
No, you definitely need a lot of quick decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of what you do affects the next player
absolutely.
too.
Definitely.
So that's it.
All right, that's it for today's list, numbers 30 to 21. Next time we'll have numbers 20 through 11. Thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure to click on one of these videos on the screen that you see before you if YouTube is showing them to you, because they think there's a really good chance that you will like one of them. Also, check in the description down below for a link to my Patreon account so that you can see how you can support this channel and become more involved with the behind-the-scenes process. Research and find a tier that works for you. This is Harry.
And this is Lily.
Saying take care, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have fun gaming.
Have fun gaming.
Bye-bye.